1939, I was at the hospital, and that's when I started at Poquott. And spent all my years there. And I saw a lot of changes, and a lot of things didn't change. It's a great place. I got notes. This is good because somebody else did this on an envelope. Let's see. Once upon a time we had the Poquattics. It was swimming, and we learned to swim, and we had races and prizes. Watermelon. We had watermelon covered with grease. That was terrific.
Why?
It was hard to grab it. Right?
Oh.
It was like a race.
And it was about, I don't know, 50 kids, more or less. It was good, a lot of fun. The ice cream cup truck used to come, and that was a dime. It went up to 15 cents, which was a lot of money. But just didn't need as much ice cream. And we had, my grandfather settled there, I don't know, 1890 or something. But he wanted the house next to where we're presently, 5 generations. And finally he bought it. And the guy that built it was a shipbuilder. And he built like this, long beams. And the ceiling came down like that. We had to jack it up because upstairs everything rolled in the middle. Because he went out to be a farmer in the Midwest. He gave up shipping. And Dad had a wood furnace, big door. You just threw the wood and you didn't split it. You just put it in there. It had a grate on the floor, nice to melt your rubber sneakers. And it had a kerosene hot water heater. It had a pitcher pump in the cistern. And my grandmother didn't like that because she came from the city. Actually, my grandfather started the asphalt business in America, so he came out here because he could put the schooner by the oyster dock. He looked all along the eastern seaboard for a place, and then he decided New York City needed streets more than other places, I guess. My great-grandfather told him to pave the breweries, which were cobblestone or corduroy or mud. So he paved them with asphalt, and the city said, "That is nice. Can you do that here?" He said, "No problem." So we paved New York City. You can look the Bolze name up. There's so much stuff. When I was a kid, I'd ask my father this or that. He says, "We don't talk about it." So I didn't learn anything. Probably for reasons, I'm sure. So they were there. Let's see, my father was born 1910, so it was 1907, 6, the winter of 1907, I guess. You can look that up too. For a week, it was below zero, and the pitcher pump froze. And my grandmother said, "That's it, we're going back to the city." So they got on the train. The train couldn't make any steam, so it would go like half a mile. It took them almost 2 days to get to the city. And the water that was the story. So she called the water company and said, "I want regular water at my house." And they said, "Well, you one of 4 people or so that are living here, and we're not running water down." She says, "Run the water down and send me the bill." So sometime in the 20s, she had water run down to the house and the hydrants put in and all that. It was $20-something thousand. And she paid it. And then they paid her back. And she actually made money out of the whole thing, which she didn't care about, but she wanted water because that pitcher pump was not something that she was enamored over, living from the city. Oh, we had ice boxes. We didn't have refrigerators or Frigidaires. Ice box. I loved the ice. Lick on it. Carried it with tongs. Finally, they put a string on it. And I had to dump the water out, which I didn't do all the time, so the water was in the kitchen. I always heard about that. And so we didn't have any ice cream to speak about because you can't have it in an ice box. But when aside from all this, if you want Tide calendar, you go on the internet to Free Tides, and you put in the zip code, and you get Tide for where we are or anywhere in the world, the high and the low tide, and how much above or below, and what it's got a lot of stuff in it. Free, just print it right out.
That's today though, right?
Yeah, that's today.
Not back
I'm
then.
going in and out of, so back to somewhere else. The power went out often because Luco wasn't in Port Jefferson. It came from somewhere else. It came from some landing. Anyway, it had to go all the way out to Riverhead and all the way back to Poquott, so to bring the voltage down, so they didn't have a big transformer. So anytime something happens, the lights went out. So we didn't have lights at least once a month to go out for it, but that was okay. We could live with that. Oh, now going to school, that was cool. First year we couldn't take the bus. I don't know what that was about, but in subsequent years we could walk up to 25A and take the bus. But we hitchhiked all the time. Always got a ride, no problem. It's only 2 cars would stop. As long as you get your books on a belt, which we did. We cut through yards, dogs would chase us, because if you go through Sawassa Park, you can get there in a shortcut. Everybody knew us. Oh, and the schooner was put downtown. It was a real schooner. And that was cool because the pizza was 15 cents. We hung out there a lot, and the schooner fell apart, I guess, in one of the hurricanes. There were a lot of hurricanes in the 50s, and they made it into what it is now. That was another hangout place, because we always went to town. You didn't hang around Poquott much in the summer. And it got dark, the town. Bicycles, hitchhiking usually. Sometimes we even hopped the train. That wasn't good. That was not good. I don't recommend that. Oh, because my grandfather burned wood, my father took, and he had a 3-foot circular saw with a moving table, and he put these humongous 12 by 12s on it, and it had a belt to a Model T motor, which ran, and you push the thing, go right through it, because there's no chainsaws in those days. There's always wood everywhere. That was quite a thing, because my grandfather would take the wood up, put some in the cellar, bugs or not, and then coming back, I could ride in a wheelbarrow. That was neat. It had the steel wheel. That's some of the bygone things. Oh, we were over in anyway, we were on by Oldfield. You know, putting up new houses. This was late 50s, early 60s. And in there was a dungeon. That was cool. The dungeon was about almost as big as this room. It was about 12 feet down. It had rings in it. It was all granite. So it must have held slaves. And I could hear the guys talking. Well, this is where the street plowing in. So it's gone. But it was neat. That was very memorable. Of course, we got chased out of there too, because 4 or 5 kids is not good enough. Oh, there's beach plums. We bring beach plums home, and we can make it into wine and jelly. Hated picking them. They're poison ivy. But I brought home some beach roses. I bought a Dixie cup. Those wax ones. One was red and one was yellow. I planted them in the beach. Took, and they're enormous now. Red ones, white ones. They were very obviously native. And then they had the sand and gravel plant, which was on the top of a hill. That burned down, I don't know, during, before World War II. But there was tunnels there for belts to bring the sand and gravel back and forth. We used to go in those tunnels. It was so dark, and dopey flashlights, the batteries that didn't work. You get in there now, it's dark. You're in the water up the ankles, you're ducking down by these belts. Nobody's ever got lost, but somebody in Brookhaven said that wasn't good, and they filled in the entrance, so we couldn't go in them. They're still there under the ground, but we couldn't go in there and have fun.
Where?
They were where that pile of gravel and sand is by Pirates Cove. That's what Seaboard's Hole is what it was called. The hill came all the way out there. They dug that hole out, about 9 cubic acres. And they would take the sand and gravel to the city because it was crushed. And it made the highest test in the concrete. And there's 20,000 yards. It ran all the time. 20,000 yards a day went to the city. Just barges going all the time. There's tugs everywhere. And during Prohibition, the one barge, they wouldn't load it to the top with sand. You can read this somewhere. And they put it to the side, and the rum runners would come in from, I don't know, Canada or the Indies, and they'd line the whole barge with boxes of whiskey. And then they'd go over and they'd cover it with sand. So when it got to the city, there's 20 barges going in, and the guy would say, oh, that's a short barge, put it over there. This went on to a Prohibition like, there wasn't any Prohibition. It was really a lot of stories there. One time, because they had the pumping the hill, and then they had a booster pump, and sometimes the rock or something get jammed in there. And one day the guy's in there trying to break the rock up, whatever he's doing, because it was 24 inches. They turned the thing on. He came out the other end, all scraped up, but he was okay. And most of the people working there were illegal immigrants. They spoke Polish, but they worked. It was hard work. It was dangerous. There's no belt guards or anything like that. And my father got a job. He came out of Brooklyn Poly in 31, and there wasn't any jobs. You couldn't even sell apples. So him and an illegal immigrant, Polish guy, they took Model T, put WP on it, PA or PWA on it, so you didn't need any plates. And he went out and put in dry wells and driveways with asphalt or rocks or whatever, the two of them, but nothing. He said, you just give me food, you buy the material. That's what they did, and within a year, he was working on the sand and gravel plant, which was steam, which is a nuisance, because you had to burn something, coal, wood. They burned creosote. Smoke was always coming at him. He converted the whole plant to electric. That was really cool. And then it was nice. Diesel all over. He used to row out in that rowboat that's 1912. He'd row out to the middle of the harbor, put the anchor out. The tug would come by and pick him up with his lunch pail, and he'd go to work, and on the way back, they wouldn't slow down. He'd have to jump in there and then row in.
Wow.
So that was a neat story. He worked on that until they went out of business because the town of Brookhaven was taxing them per yard. And I think it was, they were making 17 cents and the tax was 14. And the boss says, shut this down and leave. They don't make no money this way. That was the end of that. So they killed a golden goose. Oh, and when they were doing the hill, it got vertical because they're mining the sand in the water. And when it fell down, it was like a tsunami of water, made the dredge move, and the chains and anchors broke and everything like that. So they have a guy there, some boat with a fire hose, washing the hill down. And once there was a well, went all the way down from the top of that hill, which is 90 feet. That's pretty neat. And that's how they did that mining, because they had pumped it over to the plant, which was on the land. That one of the plants, it was a floating one also. Oh, and as kids, one of the things we'd do is go on the breakwater. I don't know why we did this, but we'd race the breakwater. You'd run down the breakwater barefoot and hope you didn't fall and break it half. And nobody ever got hurt. It fell down and got scraped, but that was something I wouldn't even think. I can't even walk on it now. It's just. Then we had the powerhouse was built in 48. So that killed some of the shortcut getting to town. Well, I was only 8 years old, so I probably didn't go. I don't know, maybe it did. But they brought in barges that were 600 feet long. They had to turn them in the middle of the harbor on a dime to get them out. And in one instance, I don't know what that was, but the oil came out all over the harbor. There was a black ring of oil on the beach for years. It was about this thick, and it was gooey when it was summer. In the winter, it was hard enough to ride a car on. It disappeared. You find little pieces now and then. Nobody knew how that got there. They said they were pumping the bilge. They probably spilled it. If there was enough oil there, that thing would have been sunk. Which was another story. They were unloading a barge that had different compartments and it had different cargoes. And they unloaded the middle of it. and the middle floated up, and the barge broke in half. There's pictures of it. That was pretty neat. Didn't catch on fire, but another time, the tank farm was also on the other side by the park, Brookhaven Park there, or whatever, Poquott Park. Sinclair, that's it, green tanks. They caught on fire right around Christmas. They couldn't put it out. They put water on, and the gasoline ran on the feet, and it got worse. So they stopped putting water on. So it burned for about 2 weeks. Lit the whole harbor up orange.
Wow.
It's really neat. But nothing else happened with that, except the tanks aren't there anymore. That's the end of that. Oh, we had a DeSoto. There was 5 of us that hung out together. And we could drive anyways. In those days, you didn't really need anything but the DeSoto, which was not that great a car, but you didn't have to register, you didn't need insurance. And somebody, one of the group, he lived in the city. They were can't remember the name my father used, but they were city slickers or something. They came out on the weekends, summering, and he'd bring out a new set of plates. He said, it's so hot you can fry eggs on it. He said, we ride around a week for those plates. Throw the plates away, get another set. Well, we rode on the beach because they wanted to. That didn't work. It got stuck. You could hardly open the doors, and we couldn't push it. This is sort of where the ramp is now. And I'm looking around, and there's a lot of people. I said, why don't we just carry it out here? And they laughed. So we all grabbed the car and walked up the beach with it. 20 guys can pick up a car. We just carried it out.